And welcome back. Across the country, domestic violence survivors often battle in silence, isolated, and under-resourced. Founded in 2022, one organization is changing this by bringing healing, awareness, and unity through education, as well as advocacy and community care. And joining me now is the founder of Healing Through Unity, Estela Starr, and thank you for joining me, Estela.
Thank you. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I know that you started this while you're an artist, and you also were like on tour. And so,
Yes.
how's being on tour and now saying, listen, I'm going to get into domestic violence and really be a voice and an advocate? How did this come about?
Well, I had a personal situation, and while being on tour, one of the requirements for me with my tour manager was to go visit the areas that are less fortunate, visit the shelters, and I went to a shelter with kids that unfortunately were born with HIV, whose parents died of AIDS. And while I was there, and I just, it just struck me seeing them go through what they go through and how united they were, even having less than us. I said, you know what, let me start my organization in the U.S. and see what can I do to, bring more unity within different communities.
All right. So here you are, an advocate and a voice for domestic violence.
Yes.
When you look at the problem of domestic violence, how do you see it now? Better, worse?
I would say worst unfortunately, because we have a stigma where we often think that domestic violence is only between two lovers. And it's not. We have domestic violence within family, within friends, within peers, co-workers, different locations, different scenarios. We are speaking more about it, I would say, considering we have social media and different outlets. But I feel like it's getting worse because oftentimes now more than ever you hear about not just men constantly, killing women, but even vice versa. Now there's women killing men. Now there's, parents killing their children. That's all part of domestic violence.
Yeah. You're pretty intentional about wanting survivors to reclaim their voice and their identity through your work. So how do you go about shaping that where one who's gone through such a horrific experience can really bounce back?
Well, one, I say always reach out to somebody that you feel the most comfortable with, because a lot of the times people who are going through domestic violence are silent. They're ashamed. I know that's something that I felt. I was still processing what I was going through while going through it. And I didn't feel the need to reach out to anybody because in my mind, I told myself, I still can't believe I'm going through this.
Right.
So that's one. Also, like I said earlier, having different outlets. Right now, Healing Through Unity, we like to go and do different things in the community. It's not just about constantly reminding them what they're going through or how to get out of it, but also just living freely, enjoying your time, even if you're at a shelter. When I was at a shelter trying to escape the person that had put me in that situation, one of the things that I wanted was somebody that was out of their situation to come and speak with us, and we didn't have that. And that's something that I am providing now with Healing Through Unity. I'm going to different shelters in the Bronx, starting with the Bronx because that's where I'm from. It's a boogie down Bronx. But, my objective is to make this something global because, it started in Peru.
Right. When you come across those persons and you talk about, having those conversations with survivors and really being able to open up, there's a tremendous amount of trauma on their side, right? And you talk about you being that person that's the trustworthy person, right? The credible messenger. It's a hard bridge to get between the place of, trust and trauma. How do you go about that?
I am a firm believer of prayer. So me personally, I started with prayer, and prayer can mean different things for different people. But I think just trying to find a way to heal, even if it's on your own first, because that's what happened with me. Since I wasn't really speaking about what I was going through, I had to find a way not only to take care of my children while going through all this trauma internally, I had to find a way to heal. And one of those things for me was music. There's different ways that you can heal: prayer, music, maybe doing something that you like or starting something new. In my case, this is part of my healing. Healing Through Unity is part of my healing Because it's something, believe it or not, it's something that I personally feel, unfortunately, that stays with you for the rest of your life. What you know, especially if it's something super traumatic. There's different levels to domestic violence because there's, you know, domestic violence that you go through verbally with people. There's domestic violence that you go through physically. But I say just trying to find that inner voice within yourself and just working on getting out of that as much as possible and also finding help.
Yeah. I want to bring children into the equation right here because
Yes.
there are many times the casualty in all of this. When a family goes through it, children are sometimes witnesses, and at the same time, if they're not witnesses, they can certainly sense what's going on
Correct.
in that house. I know that you've done some great work of trying to reach children and
Yes.
share how to empower them during a time like this. What advice do you have for empowering children and trying to give power to children during a time that is so traumatic?
I say it's not your fault. A lot of kids, when they are a part of this or they witness a parent going through something, they sometimes take guilt because they feel hopeless. There's but so much a child can do. So number one is always remind yourself that it's not your fault. You are not the reason why this is happening, and always remember that there is a way out. Also, once again, reaching out to other people. Sometimes children are afraid. They themselves, I've seen situations where the person who was going through domestic violence would quiet the child. Don't say nothing to anyone, or even the abuser, you know, threatening them. So even despite of, always find help, whether it's a teacher, a local community location, depending on your age, a family member. And just like you said, not just children, family go through it as well. Because my mom, I know, sensed what I was going through without even knowing. And I saw the difference in her after she found out all the trauma I was going through, you know? So,
How long did it take you to get to a place where you could really talk about the trauma?
oh, wow. I would say, and you know, it's a process. I'm still not fully speaking about my personal situations as much, unfortunately, but I would say maybe like 2 years or close to 2 years
Right.
for me to really come out and speak to it. Because first of all, when you're going through domestic violence, you're in denial. That's the first step. You're in denial. You're finding a whole bunch of excuses for this person because remember, you're in love with this person depending on the domestic violence that you're going through. If it's like in my case, it was the father of my son, my youngest son, unfortunately, you know, and you're still trying to process what's going on because a lot of the abusers, they don't come at you looking like an abuser. They
Right.
come at you looking like the opposite. You know, they're like your whole world. So it's levels to this. I could go on for hours talking about this.
And it's just, you said it perfectly though. There's levels to it, right? But
Yes.
but how long did it take you to get to a place where you could be free and at the same time comfortable now to go back and say, listen, you know what, I could share some, like even though I can't tell everybody everything, I could share to a place that I can empower somebody else.
I would say it took me like close to 3 years, about 3 years, to actually come out and say, you know what, this isn't who I am. This was just a part of my story, and I have to find ways to help other people because I didn't have the help. Of course, one of the reasons was because I didn't speak about it as much, and that's why I always encourage people to speak about it and find ways to connect with other people.
Do you feel free now?
Oh, yeah, very free. Thank God. Very free.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And so for people who are out there right now, the opportunity to connect with you, the opportunity to hear your story, and then also to, you know, partake in some of those services that you provide, how can people go about that?
They can reach out to me either through the website or the social media page, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. And also on the website, there is a contact number. So in case, you know, you want to speak to me directly, you can.
Estelle, been great talking to you. Founder
Thank
and
you.
president of Healing Through Unity, and congratulations with the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Empowering others even through your own pain, and turn that into like a testimony. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. And we just finished doing a food drive,
Okay.
which is on the 21st. That's another thing that we do. There's different ways to connect. It's not just, you know, empowering each other through domestic violence. It's also connecting and doing fun things. So, stay tuned for more stuff during the summer.
All right, Estela Starr here with us. Now, listen, if you do want some more information, there's an opportunity for you to do that. You can visit the website at healingthroughunity.org, and of course, find out all you need to know there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.